Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhallow today. I don't know why I'm leaning up so much to get to my microphone when I could just bring it down towards me. But yeah, I don't know what happened to my voice there. Later episode, had a D&D session today. How'd it go? I thought it went pretty well. It was another sort of, I would say, if it was like a media property where you were watching a story of, you'd be like, is this a filler arc? Or something? What's going on? I think filler arc is perhaps a bit too derogatory, or derogatory is a bit strong, bit too dismissive a way to put it, but it's more like it was a very casual episode session, similar to last time as well. Good evening everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 10:55 PM on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. There's definitely been some lore drops, some like lore hinting, which, you know, my players definitely obviously picked up on, like, give respect to my players. But there's also, if anything, it was just sort of like nice bonding moments. If anything, this was quite a comedic session, is probably what I'd say. Seeing as we spent almost like 40 minutes or an hour or something on teaching some kids how to hunt food, although not very well, mind you. But it was also, you know, straight up something I didn't expect to take that as long as it did, but, you know, hey ho. I thought, oh, Lily gave me another photo. It was fun nonetheless. And then we spent the last hour of the session with two party members. Everyone acting, of course, by the way, being like, oh, the other two party members are fake. They can't remember the secret password. And the other party members at the time being like, oh, I missed the cue for the secret code word, but now this is kind of funny. I guess we'll play along with this. And it just kept getting stranger and stranger. It almost felt like a sitcom, I suppose. Expertly played in the sense where it almost felt like misunderstandings were rife and kind of the entire point of it. But yeah, we're coming up to like a year of D&D, and there's going to be, at least the plan is to have like a joint session to sort of celebrate that, in my opinion. A session where it's not necessarily as like tied in with a story or whatever's going on. It feels kind of, should feel like its own separate thing, but gives a chance for the two campaigns to sort of interact, because of course we're all friends in the same friend circle. So, you know, I think it would be nice to have a celebration, a 1 year milestone like that. This is like the tournament arc which was going on, but then, you know, it didn't go so well. It didn't play as pivotal a role. Well, it was never meant to play a pivotal role. It was meant to be a side thing, but then it took a long while because it turns out time passes quite slowly in these sessions. So then I was like, okay, we'll just sort of write it off. Like, it came, like, what it was meant to be. It was like, it's meant to be a side arc for one of the campaigns. It's like a thing if they want to option you do for a bit of fancies, and then, like, it didn't, like, become that crazy important or anything. So it's like, okay, well, quickly dismiss that part. And then for the other campaign, it was meant to be more of a serious thing. But then, as I said in the beginning, they discovered the secret by accident and to their own detriment very, very quickly. So I was like, okay, well, you know, got to improvise. That can no longer be the story arc because now it doesn't make sense anymore. So it sort of became like a bit of a sideline thing. So now it's very much just like a side quest, if anything, which is, you know, a more comfortable place, I think, for it to be. But yeah, it's crazy to think it's been basically a year since it happened. You might be like, what level are they? They hit level 8 a few sessions ago. My plan is for them to hit, spoilers I suppose, level 9 after the joint session, or around the time of the joint session. So yeah, then it'll be like a year for 9 levels. The next levels will almost certainly go a lot more slower, like they'll only become slower and slower from here on out. But level 10 and like onwards is when people start saying it's like, the options you get start to get pretty cool and fun, right? Feature-wise, but who knows? It's a thing where most of the time you don't even imagine that you get that far in a D&D campaign. I mean, the campaigns I've played, and the highest level I've ever got to, I think, was level 6. And that was playing sort of on and off for a year. No, maybe it was like half a year, I can't remember. A lot of fun though. But yeah, nonetheless, that's happening. What else are we talking about? Oh, you know what I was going to talk about? Because now that Squid Game Season 2, Squid Game Season 3 has been announced for June, which is about in 4 months or so. So I feel a bit more comfortable talking about Squid Game Season 2 now, I suppose mild spoilers for what one of the games is in Squid Game Season 2 in general. But I did want to talk about this game, actually, as soon as I heard that it was going to be one of the games. The title's probably going to give away, but it's called Mingle, which, yeah, like, I'm not going to give spoilers for what actually happens in Squid Game, apart from the fact that Mingle, the game, is featured in it somehow. Similar to before, how I talked about the other Korean game, Gongi. I don't think I ever talked about Red Light, Green Light, or 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. But Mingle I wanted to talk about because it's, one I've actually played a decent amount. No, actually I did talk about it. I called it, but it was called Grandma's Footsteps because that's a British version. Yeah. But yeah, basically in Squid Game they play Mingle, and might I say, by the way, Mingle is an absolute genius idea for a Squid Game death game, because it's honestly a very brutal game. Brutal not as in like physically brutal, but like socially brutal is probably how I describe it. Like children's game in real life. So it's like a perfect fit. Like as soon as I heard it was one of the games, I was like, that is genius. That's fantastic. And it certainly helps that its sequence in the actual series is really, really good. Maybe my favourite. It's really hard to pick between that one and the game which contains Gongi. They're both really, really good sequences. But maybe season 2 is just fun in general, I suppose. Can't wait for season 3. But Mingle, if you don't know, Mingle is, I feel like it's misleading to call it a playground game, because it's not really a game it's not a game I've played on the playground. It's a game I played on like drama workshops or something, or school trips when you're like, you don't know, you're playing with like other schools or something, and you don't know each other very well. It's like an ice-breaking sort of game. But it's basically a game where, at least the way I played it, not very often mind you, it's not that common a game, but you just sort of walk around and you do like silly walks and you do silly dances, and the entire time you're going mingle, 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 mingle. Or you're just like saying the word mingle over and over again. And when I mean silly dances, it means like you walk like, you like swing your arms about like really weirdly, you do like strange poses. At least that's the way I do it, because it's meant to sort of encourage you to sort of like let loose and like break down any walls between kids or whatever have you, right? So you walk around going like mingle, 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 and then the teacher will just yell out like a number, for example 5, and then in that moment you have to immediately find a group of 5. You have to like put yourself into groups of 5, and if you put yourself into groups of 5 and then you sit down, you win, essentially. And the way you get eliminated is if you don't have a group, theoretically, except for the ways I played, like you didn't actually get eliminated, you just like oh no, you lost that round, but then you keep playing. But it could be that you get eliminated, I suppose. But the reason I say it's such a brutal game is because most of the times you play it, you very rarely play it where no one knows anyone, or people always know some people. So there's always like these social cliques, which groups of people who like work together. I feel like on the whole it generally does work pretty well, because generally on the whole you're not going to know enough people to fill up a group, so you'll just like tag onto a random group and they'll be like, yeah, come join us, we want to win, despite the fact there's no lose condition in this game, really. At least in versions I've played. So yeah, you in the show they say that you used to hug each other to make your groups. I don't remember doing that one. I do remember like we linked hands and we sat down. But yeah, that's about it. But like the social cliques which rely on the game could be very cruel, because if you have like a social group of like 6 people and then it's like, you need to make a group of 5, who are you going to kick out? And leads to a lot of ups and hurt feelings in that sense, which I laugh about, because obviously I don't mean it in a way of like haha hurt feelings, but as a child that feels like a stab. Like, well, you take the mindset of an adult now, where you'd be like, obviously you're just kind of playing a game, someone's got to like leave the circle, right? It's not meant to be personal, but kids can also be cruel at the same time. So I fully understand if it feels like a personal attack in the same way. But I think most people as an adult will look back and be like, okay, yeah, it's just like a stupid game. To be honest. If anything, you shouldn't be making these. You're not meant to be pairing up with people you know. You're meant to be pairing up with people you don't know, so you get to meet them. Like, that's why it's like Mingle, because you're mingling together with everyone. And at least the ways I played it, like, have been recently like that. decently like that as well. I like to think I, never got my hip feelings particularly hurt playing that game. Yeah, again, I've only played it probably like 3 times. But the one I remember like playing it in is like in a Christian summer camp. Like I bring this up every so often. I think it was there we played it. I'm not actually sure. But I remember I was playing with people I didn't really know. And I remember the sort of hecticness of like trying to find a group and being like, yeah, join us and we'll sit down. Did I make any friends on that? Probably. I don't remember them. They were probably like, friends for a day or something, as those sort of activities tend to go. But I was so surprised when I actually heard it was in Squid Game when it was like talked about, because it said the game Mingle, and I was like, that sounds really familiar. Why do I know about it? And then they explained the rules, and I was like, oh, it's this game. I completely forgot about the existence of this game, because it really does feel like a sort of drama warm-up sort of game, or like a ice-breaking thing for children's activities. Like you have a load of children's in a youth group or whatever, and like how are they going to get to know each other? Let's play Mingle. Because it really is quite low consequence. I feel what it feels like it should be low consequence, but you can make good friends that way, because you just like sit in a group for a little bit, and you depending how long you're meant to stay in the groups, you can sort of just like chat and talk, or not, or immediately goes on to the next part. But I will say that if you told me, if I remembered what the game Mingle was, and you told me without the context of Squid Game, like, oh, we're gonna play Mingle, I'd be like, what? I mean, okay, how's that work? Like mechanically, like I can see it, like you could turn it into like a game of like not social deception, but betrayal and whatnot. But I'm like, how does that work mechanically? I will say in the Squid Game series, they pulled it off in a really cool way. I would say, cool and cruel, I suppose, is perhaps the way to put it. Like very intense, that game. And it's probably my favourite sequence in both series. In fact, it probably trumps Glass Bridge in the first season. You might be like, Glass Bridge was your favourite? It wasn't actually maybe Marbles is my favourite because of the story, but Glass Bridge is my favourite actual event, mainly because it was so unfair, I suppose. But yeah, Mingle. That's basically a long short, but it's like I was like, once I saw like the concept of a room they're in, or like the setting of it, and hearing the description, I was like, this is a great idea for a Squid Game. But yeah, I mean, I feel like these sort of like warm-up icebreaker games you play, there's quite a lot of them that you play through like primary school, or at least I played through primary school, as a way to sort of like get to know people. Some are pretty good, some are pretty meh. I feel like Simon Says is like a super, super, super common one. We used to always do that in gymnastics class for some reason. What else is like a really good one? Or one we done? We done one where it was like battles of sounds. I can't remember what it was called, to be honest. But basically, we all stood in line, like facing each other, like evenly split, and the person just is like, okay, you're gonna like make this sound, and you'll be like hoorah, and then they'll be like, all right, you go first, and then everyone on one side goes hoorah with like screaming as loud as they can, and then the other was like, all right, now you're not gonna try and beat them, so you beat them by putting like more energy or being louder or something like that. So it's basically just like a game to get kids' energy levels like amped up, really. And I remember he gets each like person like down the line like to make up a new one. Not all the time. Like maybe you do like 3 or 4 rounds of it or something. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember one time I did it. I was like, my one was like flip flop, and I did like a windmill with my arms or something. That's basically what I remember. What other good ones are there? Like actual icebreaker questions? Not questions, like activities. Icebreaker questions are fine, I think, but like in my opinion, like you don't need the icebreaker questions. Just have small talk, and then like once you find a conversational thread, just put on that and just talk about that for ages. That's what I think is the best way to go about it. But I know how the icebreaker questions lead into it, but also, I guess by putting a structure into it, it makes it feel way too rigid, in my opinion, for what's just meant to be a very casual conversation. But another point, what other games are like sort of like the same sort of vibe of games like Mingle is? It's really hard to think off the top of my head. Like, let's keep going back to Simon Says, but no, there must be more. But there was one which was like left side, right side or something. Where you run to the left side or right side of a room, depending on like the question asked. Which I guess is kind of like icebreaker questions. It would just be like, do you prefer the forest or do you prefer the sea? And then you run to different sides. It's all about, I don't know. Well, there's not really much point to it. You just do it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm with all these people who think the forest is better than the sea. Yeah, and then we're like, you suck, sea people. And then you're like, whoa, no, you suck, forest people. That does make it sound like a war between like a fantasy realm or something, which is not what I meant. Sorry, a little pause. Yeah, what other games are good, like sort of drama icebreaker games? Let's just Google it. Let's see, like kids icebreaker games. 17 fun, get to know your questions and games. Icebreaker activity, that's probably the best one. The best name for it. I don't know, these aren't the ones. Because these are all actually finding about information, but it's not about finding information. What I'm thinking of, it's more like just an activity. Human Knot? Oh, Human Knot! I remember this one. You play it by... Yeah, that's right. You stand in a circle, you're facing inwards, and everyone puts their right hand in, and you basically just grab someone else's hand, and then you put your left hand in, and you grab someone else's left hand, and it's like, alright, you have to untangle yourself without letting go of your hands. So you had to sort of like spin around, you step over arms, underarms, and then you like untangle yourself, and when you're done, you're like, yeah. That's a good one. I forgot about that one. The name game I feel like is very much an American one, because it's not one I remember playing. Egg Drop? Egg Drop is a very... is a classic one. I don't know if I'd say it's an icebreaker game. That's all more like a practical science lesson sort of game. It's basically you had to make a parachute, or make a way of protecting your egg when you drop it from a certain height. Paper avenue. These are about making things. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm thinking for things like the Human Knot. The Human Knot is a really good one. Charades is fine. 30 best and fun icebreaker game activities. The parachute is one I thought of as well. I'm not really sure about the icebreaker game. That's more like a party game, I suppose, but still. Circle up if you... What's this? Yeah, circle up. That's kind of like the left side and right side of room one, whatever it's called. Monkey see, monkey do. I'm not sure if I played that one before. Maybe. Round of Whispers. It's Chinese Whispers, as it's called in Britain. Which I'm not sure why it's really called that, I suppose. Or like, why? Match a baby picture? How many facts in 90 seconds? That's not a game. Toss it to me. High five someone with brown hair. Is that really the name of a game? Personality bingo, animal packs. Would you rather? I don't know if I'd... Well, okay. I guess I just played different versions of Would You Rather now I think about it. You definitely could do that with kids. Hello, I'm Mr. Bear, this or that. Oh yeah, that's the one I was talking about, this or that. You go to different sides of the room. If you like or don't like other things. It's really hard to think of things off the top of my head. Human Knot, though, is a really good one. I completely forgot about the existence of that one. Kids game, Human Knot. Try the Human Knot game. Oh, scouts.com. Sorry, scouts.org.uk. This is probably a good one. Back to activities. Fire building. What? DIY chocolate safety game. Make a tote bag. Yes, no, maybe. I need like this type of activity. I don't know. Anyway, long and short of it, Mingle, great idea for a squid game. It's actually just like it's an okay sort of icebreaker party game. Kind of fun. Something you do at like a summer camp or something. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.